I'm going to rank every single kind of lightsaber in Star Wars, and I mean all of them. The saber cane, the double-bladed lightsaber, the blaster hilt, and so many more. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the first one we're going to start off with is the most common, basic, and honestly boring, and that is the standard single-bladed lightsaber that the Jedi and Sith use for the most part. This design is about as simple as you can get. It's one hilt of varying sizes from which a single blade extends, and that blade can be a lot of colors: blue, red, green, purple, you name it. For most of the other lightsaber types on this list, I'm going to go into more detail, like who uses it in particular, and what makes it special, the pros and cons, but because the single-bladed lightsaber is so common, we're just going to skip straight to the ranking. And the way the ranking is going to work is we're going to have two metrics: how cool the lightsaber type is, and how practical the lightsaber type is. Now, we're going to start with the cool tier list. So, for the single-bladed lightsaber right here, which we've exemplified with Luke Skywalker and the Skywalker Saber, because, let's be honest, that's the most famous single-bladed lightsaber there is, probably. Here's the problem. Lightsabers in general are awesome. Lightsabers are so cool. If I had a lightsaber in my hand right now, I'd be a happy camper, boys. You know that. But, for the sake of this tier list, we are going to have to make some sacrifices, because there are cooler lightsabers that exist than the normal lightsaber, just in comparison to other lightsabers. So I think the normal single-bladed lightsaber, for the purposes of being cool in contrast to these other ones, is probably a meh. Honestly, it's probably a meh. And we'll see what the other ones get ranked, but right now, that's where I'm putting it. But now for the practicality tier list, I think we low-key got to put this one into insanely useful. I mean, boys, it's just a sword. And swords are popular and have been popular for centuries for a reason. They're so convenient, they're so easy to use. I think if another lightsaber was more insanely useful than the normal single-bladed lightsaber, then the normal single-bladed lightsaber wouldn't be the norm. It would be the one that's insanely useful. I gotta throw it for practicality way up high. I think that's how it is. Alright, next up we have the double-bladed lightsaber, arguably the most famous type of lightsaber that's not the basic single-bladed design. And by the way, this is a good time to clarify that the only lightsaber types I'm gonna be including here are from the canon movies and TV shows. I'm sorry, I know, just painful to hear, but that's the only type of Star Wars that I really consume. Anyway, the double-bladed lightsaber is one long hilt with a blade coming out of both ends, which means that the user has to wield it almost like a bow staff. Shout out Donatello from the Ninja Turtles, that guy is the GOAT. The most famous user of this lightsaber is by far Darth Maul, and, you know, his reveal in The Phantom Menace must have blown fans away in the 90s. I mean, imagine only having single-bladed lightsabers your whole life, and this gets revealed to you. I'd be a happy camper for sure. But the double-bladed lightsaber is also used by Savage Opress, Pong Krell, and briefly, before it got cut in half, Asajj Ventress in the Clone Wars. I know some of you are probably saying that the Inquisitors use these too, but their sabers are a little different, and we're going to rank them separately in a little bit later in the video. But speaking of ranking, let's find out where the double-bladed lightsaber is going on the tier lists. Alright, for pure aura, I think the double-bladed lightsaber is going in absolutely epic. I mean, this thing is so cool. It is so tough when they come out of the woodworks swinging this thing and they're using it well and it's flashing. It's just awesome to see. There is a reason that the Duel of the Fates is one of the most famous lightsaber duels, heck, movie duels of all time. It's because of this lightsaber and the way he can use it to duel both Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan at the same time. This lightsaber just exudes awesomeness. Watching it fly and watching it hum, it's a treat. It's always a treat. Now, for practicality, like how useful it actually would be, boys, I don't know. I think we're a little biased by who we see use it. Like, Darth Maul obviously is good with it. Savage Opress is obviously good with it. But imagine how inconvenient it would be to have a whole staff that you could only hold in an area this long. And anywhere else you swung it, you would cut yourself open. I think it would be so hard to swing around. It would just be so impractical to use well. And the people who can use it well, again, can use it well. Darth Maul, absolute savage with this thing. Savage Opress, absolute savage. But it, in terms of practicality, not the greatest. I'm just going to say it. Doesn't seem that phenomenal. I'm going to throw it into I guess it works, because I really do think it's not that convenient. Even if you're trying to use it just as a single-bladed lightsaber, what ends up happening is you have a lightsaber and you have a hilt that's like this long you have to hold, that you have to try to maneuver with and swing around with. I think it's just not that practical. I'm throwing it and I guess it works. I think that's a fair place to put it. Coming in third on the list, we have the curved hilt lightsaber. Now, if you guys have been watching the channel for a while, then you know how biased I am. I think the curved hilt is so classy and so sleek. Essentially, the curved hilt lightsaber is very similar to the single-bladed lightsaber design, except the hilt is bent. This allows the user to have greater precision and more intentional strokes, along with making the fighting style look so clean and stylish. The two most famous users of the curved hilt are of course Count Dooku and his apprentice Asajj Ventress, but Dooku in particular is one of, if not the most skilled lightsaber duelists in Star Wars, which is a testament to how deadly the curved hilt can be in the right hands. Now, for the cool tier list, the biased part of me really wants to put it in absolutely epic, up there with the double-bladed lightsaber, but I don't think I can do that. I think objectively, if I took my personal opinion aside and really looked at it objectively, the curved hilt is a little less cool than the double-bladed lightsaber. I think it is a little too close to the original design, and the fact that Dooku is such a boss fighting with it is not enough to change that opinion. However, just letting me know, this is my favorite lightsaber in Star Wars. I mean, if you've watched the channel before, you've seen it, but OGs and real ones will know that I have it, a physical version of it, because of how cool I think it looks. I think the fact you can have these elegant strokes is so tough, and it's so sleek, so just know that I think very highly of it. Objectively, it is less cool than the double-bladed lightsaber, and I'm man enough to admit that. However, when it comes to practicality, I am not ashamed at all to put this up there with insanely useful. The fact that Dooku uses this and is one of the best duelists ever with it is evidence of that. This thing is just a beast. Dooku, when he fights, is so clean and precise and classy with it. And I think that the curved hilt really helps him make those precise strokes and effects that we know he's capable of. That fight against the Night Sisters when he goes, "I do not need my eyes to see you, Jedi," and then proceeds to lay 3 of them out, absolutely legendary. We all know who Kylo Ren is, and we all remember watching the trailer for The Force Awakens when it came out and thinking that his lightsaber looked sick. Yep, that's right. Coming up next, we got the crossguard lightsaber with 1 main lightsaber blade and 2 small lightsaber crossguards. This design is not super useful, to be honest, from the looks of it, and was mainly created to aura farm because it does look awesome. Kylo Ren's lightsaber in particular did effectively use crossguard design, however, because his cracked kyber crystal was unstable and used too much energy and it had to be channeled somewhere, so he created the crossguards for that reason. Nice ingenuity there, Kylo. But other than that, the only other time we see this design is for like a minute in Rebels when Ezra finds one in some random temple with this design and it's green and then fails shortly after. Now boys, I know a lot of people, particularly people who don't like the sequels or think that Kylo Ren's character was ruined in the sequels, both of which are valid opinions, don't like this lightsaber because Kylo Ren, they think it looks lame or childish. I have never been one of those people. To me, this lightsaber is absolutely epic. It looks so cool. The design, maybe I'm biased just Kylo Ren's because I think the green one, you know what? I have to put it in sick because the green one that Ezra finds in Rebels is low-key not that cool. It looks dorky. But Kylo Ren's unstable blades and the unstable energy that's coming out of it makes it look so sick and it fits it so well. For the usefulness tier list, I really don't understand the point. I think it's not that convenient. There's no real benefit to it. Unless your lightsaber is like Kylo Ren's where it needs to convert the energy into something else for the blade to function, then I get it. But other than that, I don't see a real purpose to having the crossguard. All it does is make it more likely that when you're swinging around, you're gonna catch yourself with a blade and cut your hand off, or cut your shoulder or something. There's no real upside to it. What's the benefit? So, I think for that reason, I'm gonna put it in you just want attention. I think you just want attention, to be honest. There's that I can see, no upside. It's less useful than the double-bladed in my opinion. At number 5, we have the blaster lightsaber, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's just a normal lightsaber with a blaster built into the hilt. Now, there are a few drawbacks, notably that the blaster doesn't fire normal bolts, but instead something like balls of electricity, which aren't anywhere near as deadly, and probably the most disappointing part to me is that the blaster can't fire while the lightsaber is active, which instantly gets rid of any sick combos that could be used in a lightsaber duel to catch your opponent off guard, but the design is still so cool. The only person who utilizes this type of lightsaber is Ezra Bridger when he was first starting his Jedi training, and honestly, it's just straight up genius. He gets the best of both worlds with this, John. I think in terms of coolness, this blaster lightsaber is not that insane. I think it's yeah, that's cool. It's not super classy, and it doesn't look super impressive. It is a cool function, but it also can't do either of them at once. You either have to have a lightsaber or you have a blaster, and they don't work at once as the same thing, which is less cool. I think it'd be more cool if you had the lightsaber like this and you were blocking and you could shoot at the same time or shoot while the blade was ignited, but you can't do that. It doesn't work that way. So I think for the coolness scale, we gotta put it right in the middle. I mean, yeah, that's cool. However, for usefulness, it's going high. It's going honestly pretty convenient. It is just straight up convenient, boys, to have a lightsaber and a blaster all in one compartment. It is just a useful invention. Again, if it could shoot mid-fight, it'd probably be insanely useful, or if it shot real blaster bolts and not just little balls of energy, it'd be insanely useful. It doesn't do either of those things, but it's still pretty freaking convenient. Alright, we're like halfway through the list at this point, and coming up next, we have the Shoto lightsaber. But first, I want to talk to you guys about a problem I'm sure a lot of us have, namely, the lack of time. Look fellas, let's just level for a second. The world can get busy. It can get busy, whether you have school, or work, or a family to take care of, or friends you want to hang out with, or just stuff you gotta do. The world can get busy, and we all wish we had more time to do the things we want to do. That's why it would save you so much time and be so convenient and, not to mention, random side note, healthy, to use the sponsor of today's video, Factor. Factor is a ready-to-eat meal subscription service that delivers fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals to your doorstep. It takes literally 2 minutes. All you have to do is heat it up and enjoy because they are delicious. With over 80 weekly options, Factor has meals for every lifestyle. Keto, calorie smart, protein plus, vegan, you name it, they got it. And in terms of health, like I mentioned earlier, it doesn't get much better than Factor. The meals are all high protein and super calorie smart, making them not only delicious, but also healthy. The portions are filling, the ingredients are real, and honestly, the taste and the flavor beats most takeout for me. It's better than most takeout. Better than McDonald's, I'm gonna say it. And the deal that Factor is offering you today is actually insanely good. I'm not even joking, it is just a steal. All you have to do is go to factor75.com or just click the link in the description, and when you get there, use code JEDWARDFB50 to get 50% off for a year, a whole year, plus free breakfast on top of that. It's a steal. It is genuinely a phenomenal deal. Again, go to factor75.com and use code JEDWARDFB50 to get 50% off for a year plus free breakfast. I couldn't recommend it more. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get back to the Shoto lightsaber. Now, the Shoto lightsaber is somewhat similar to the traditional single-bladed lightsaber, but it's more of a light dagger, if you will, being smaller, shorter, and having a lighter handle. Usually, smaller beings would use one of these as their primary weapons, proportionally being normally sized to them, but average-sized Jedi and Sith would also use one in addition to their main single-bladed lightsaber. The fighting style of using these was generally to use the lightsaber's greater mobility and lightweight nature to overwhelm the opponent with lots of lightning-fast strikes and attacks that they would struggle to block. And some of the famous users of the Shoto lightsaber are Ahsoka Tano, Evan Piel, Yaddle, and of course Master Yoda the GOAT. In terms of coolness, I don't think it's anything that special. I think it looks kind of cool when like Ahsoka's using 2 lightsabers and she's dual gripping them, but that's not really to do with the Shoto, that's just more her style. Like if Ahsoka or Evan Piel uses them, they don't even look that different from normal lightsabers because to them, they do look like normal lightsabers. They're proportionally the same size. So I think it's going in... yeah, that's cool. I think it's going in, yeah, that's cool, just because when they get dual wielded with a normal lightsaber, the contrast is cool. It's like a very unique fighting style. For practicality, I think it's going in insanely useful. I'm gonna be honest. I think if you're good with it, if you're Ahsoka and you're using it to balance out and add to your main lightsaber, or if you're Yoda or Evan Piel or Yaddle and it's just a lightsaber to you, it's going in insanely useful. There's not a whole lot of difference between these two, between the single blade and the Shoto. Unlike the crossguard lightsaber, it's not just an aura farm. There is genuinely a practical reason to use this lightsaber, so I'm putting it up there and insanely useful. The Darksaber. Now, this lightsaber type is truly a work of art. The Darksaber is a one-of-a-kind black lightsaber, which looks much more like an actual blade than basically any other lightsaber, and with white light crackling up it. It just looks dope. It has a long history, having been crafted centuries ago by the only Mandalorian Jedi named Tar Vizsla, and been passed down the line to each new ruler of Mandalore since then. It also has a mind of its own of sorts, if that makes sense, meaning that the wielder must be able to sync their energy with it in order to use it well, and if they can't, it's just slow and heavy. Think of the Mandalorian using it and not being able to lift it off the ground because he doesn't understand that. The Darksaber, by its very nature of being passed down, has had dozens of users over the centuries, but some of the most notable ones are Pre Vizsla, Darth Maul, Sabine Wren, and of course, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. Look, there's no contest here. This is going in absolutely epic. This lightsaber is literally probably the coolest lightsaber to ever exist. There is no lightsaber that is on a singular level more dope than this bad boy. This thing's a G. This thing's a gem. I think for usefulness, boys, I'm pretty conflicted. I think if you're like Darth Maul or Pre Vizsla and you can use it normally like a normal lightsaber and not wrestle with it in terms of literally holding it in the air, it'd be insanely useful. It's just a normal lightsaber. But the fact that you have to be able to sync with it and like bond with it energy wise to even like pick it up is an added challenge. Like, what if you just can't? What if there's some people it doesn't click with? Like the Mandalorian, it never clicks with him. Imagine you're the Mandalorian, you're trying to pick it up and it drops to the ground. That's embarrassing. I think because of that added risk that you won't be able to bond with it or won't be able to figure out how to bond with it, I gotta put it in pretty convenient. Because if it was just a normal lightsaber with no weird like it wants to be friends with you energy, it'd be insanely useful. It's literally the same as a normal lightsaber, it just looks sick and is black with white glow. But you do have to bond with it, so I'm putting it in pretty convenient. This next one is often overlooked and forgotten, but it is the Saber Cane. The Saber Cane is essentially a single-bladed lightsaber, but it's housed at the top of a normal cane and turn the already deadly weapon into one of stealth, subtlety, and surprise. The most famous users are Terry Sinube, who used it to aid him in his old age and to appear less dangerous than he was, and Darth Maul, who used it to appear harmless when he, well, to put it lightly, was not harmless at all in the slightest. Those are the two big uses of it in Star Wars TV shows and movies. Now, in terms of coolness, I think the Saber Cane is probably somewhere in the middle. I mean, yeah, that's cool. I think that's a fair place to put it. It's nowhere near as cool as a curved hilt or the crossguard hilt, but it's as cool as like a blaster lightsaber, I'd say, and it would be sick. Think of a sword cane, boys. Think of a guy walking into a party in his old age, and he just pulls out his cane, and you think, oh, he needs to walk, he's old, he just has to support himself, and he pulls out a sword. That's so sick. So I think that's the kind of, it's more of a shock value cool than it is like actually cool, because once you have it out, it's just a normal lightsaber. Once it's out of the cane, you're just holding the normal single-bladed lightsaber, which we put in meh. For usefulness, it's either pretty convenient or insanely useful. It's either one of these top two tiers, and I'm trying to figure out which one I'd put it in. I think it is insanely useful that you can be stealthy with it, that you can walk into a party with a walking stick and then pull out the deadliest weapon in the galaxy. That is really useful. But if you're like a normal Jedi, if you're Anakin Skywalker and you're forced to carry a walking stick at all times, housing a lightsaber in the top in order to hold it, it's a little less useful. Like, you have to carry a stick everywhere in order to conceal it. So, because of that, I'm putting it in pretty convenient. Now, this next one coming up is pretty funky, and it is the Light Whip, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is a whip, but the whip part is a lightsaber blade. It was typically used to throw wielders of traditional lightsabers off, seeing as they wouldn't be super good at defending against a whip with their lightsaber blade, but it very rarely actually got used by the Jedi or Sith. The Zygerian slavers used it for, well, evil and malicious purposes, let's just be honest here. They used it to whip their slaves with, which is terrible. And the only Jedi who's used it in the movies and TV shows is Vernestra Rwoh in The Acolyte. That's the only time we've seen it in live action. I think in terms of coolness, I almost attempted to put it in meh. The only reason I want to put it a little higher than that is just the shock value. It's just when you pull out a lightsaber hilt and you think it's going to be a lightsaber hilt and it's a whip. Like, that is pretty cool. You just become Indiana Jones from the Star Wars universe when you have this John. However, when it comes to usefulness, this thing is actually terrible. This is awful. There is no reason to be using this. You just want to be cool. Get a normal lightsaber. You're telling me someone comes over to you and is like, hey, you can have this literal sword made of an energy beam that can cut through anything, or you can have a whip, which you cannot control well and is very likely to come snapping back on your face and cutting you in half. And on top of that, it's a whip. You can't control a whip as well as a lightsaber. It's just not as tough. Get a normal lightsaber. It's not useful. It is not useful. This is so easily going, and get a normal lightsaber, bum. Alright, we've reached the final lightsaber type on this list, and this one is the Imperial Inquisitor's spinning double-bladed lightsaber. The lightsaber itself is exactly the same as the normal double-bladed lightsaber, but the hilt has a circular guard and can be spun upon command, creating a tornado of whirling blades. Plus, apparently, it can be used to fly, which is so corny and so over the top, but you know what? That was Rebels for you. That defines the first 2 seasons of Rebels, so I can't be surprised. I'm not surprised. It makes sense for Rebels. Now, personally, I'm of the opinion that these things are less cool than the double-bladed lightsabers because they take so much less skill to use. When Darth Maul's out there and he's spinning his lightsaber and twirling it and making it look sick with his own manual willpower and energy, that is tough. When these guys press a button and just hold the lightsaber out and it spins in circles in front of them, I low-key think that's kind of lame, personally. So it's less cool than Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber, but it is still a form of double-bladed lightsaber. I'm gonna throw it into sick. These things are kind of sick. For usefulness, I would normally throw it right next to the normal double-bladed lightsaber because they're pretty much the same, but the fact that Star Wars for some reason made these things able to let you fly like a helicopter by holding it in the air, I think that's corny, I think that's lame, I think it's cheesy, but it is lore. So it's pretty convenient. It is a pretty convenient feature with that. There you have it, boys. This is the final cool tier list. This is the final practical tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments. And check out this video right here where I ranked every lightsaber duel in Star Wars. I'm very proud of it. It's a very good video, and I think you'll really like it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.